हरि ओम। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गायै नमः। ओम श्री राम रामाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। भवानी शङ्करौ वन्दे श्रद्धाविश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धाः स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेदसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगताम् अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ नमः शिवाय। 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 नमः पार्वतीपतये। हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम। हरि ओम। Tomorrow is 8th of May. It is Pujya Gurudev, my teacher, Swami Chinmayanand Ji Maharaj's Jayanti, birthday. So we will today remember Pujya Gurudev and offer our gratitude. Pujya Gurudev, born in Kerala, did his law and also did some freelance writing in the newspapers, etc. Then he wanted to write something about the sannyasis. So Pujya Gurudev went to Rishikesh and he went to Swami Shivanandaji's ashram. Swami Shivanandaji, also from Kerala, a great Swami during that time, and he was also a doctor. So Swamiji used to teach Vedanta and also take care of the patients in and around the ashram. So Pujya Gurudev went to that ashram and he observed Swami Shivanandaji and was very, very impressed. So he wanted to learn Vedanta from Swamiji. So he just stayed in the ashram and he learned Vedanta from Swami Shivanandaji Maharaj, and he also took sannyasa diksha there. And later on, Pujya Gurudev went to Uttar Kashi and learnt further Vedanta from Swami Taponji Maharaj. And after gaining this knowledge of Vedanta, means the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutra, Pujya Gurudev, he wanted to share this knowledge with the whole world. So he started giving discourses on Gita Upanishads all over the country. Every day, thousands of people used to sit in silence listening to Pujya Gurudev and learning Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads. So it was a very revolutionary thing which Pujya Gurudev did because he wanted to create that awareness among all of us about our own traditions and about our own great the scriptures. Swamiji thereafter traveled abroad also to many countries and he shared this knowledge, this wisdom of Gita and Upanishad with so many people around the world. Pujya Gurudev has also written commentaries on Srimad Bhagavad Gita and also on 9 Upanishads, the 8 main Upanishads, one of the what you call 8 of the main Upanishads, and also on Kaivalya Upanishad. Swamiji has also written commentaries on other many Vedanta texts. I had the good fortune of learning the entire Bhagavad Gita from Pujya Gurudev directly and also few other Upanishads and other texts. Swamiji also started what is called the Sandipanis, where students interested to learn Vedanta, they stay in those ashrams and study Vedanta, and thereafter they practice it in their own life and also share it with others in this world. Because of Pujya Gurudev's blessings, many of us we have come to know about this great text, the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, because he came down to the plains to share this wisdom with all of us. So today, tomorrow is the Jayanti, but today we remember Pujya Gurudev and offer our gratitude to Pujya Gurudev. ॐ समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः हरि ओम. Now we shall begin with our Ishavasya Upanishad class. We will begin with the Shanti mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We shall chant the mantras which we have seen. Om Ishavasya Sarvam Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagata Tena Tyaktena Bhunjithaha Ma Gradakasya Svidhanam Kurvanneveha Karmani जिजीविषेच्छतगं समाह एवं त्वयि नान्यते तोस्ते न कर्म लिप्यते नरे असूर्या नाम ते लोकाः अन्धेन तमसा वृताः तांस्ते प्रेत्याभिगच्छन्ति ये केचात्महनो जनाः अनेजदेकं मनसो जवीयः नैनद्देवा आप्नुवन् पूर्वमर्षत् तद्धावतोऽन्यानत्तेति तिष्ठत तस्मिन्नपो मातरिश्वा दधाति तदेजति तन्नैजति तद्दूरे तद्वन्तिके तदन्तरस्य सर्वस्य तदु सर्वस्यास्य बाह्यतः. So this Upanishad begins with a beautiful mantra which guides the one who has gained self-knowledge to practice nididhyasan by seeing the whole world as pervaded by Ishvara, Ishavasyamidam Sarvam. So with renunciation, one should cover the whole world, look at the whole world as pervaded with Brahma. But if we have not gained self-knowledge, then we should pursue the path of Karma Yoga and purify our mind and become fit to gain self-knowledge. Those who don't follow the path of Karma Yoga and have not gained that knowledge, they are as though killing their own self and will continue in this samsara, taking birth in different life forms. So what is that self which we have to know? So that was revealed in this fourth and fifth mantra, that self never changes its nature. The nature of the self never changes. And that self is one. And with respect to the upadhis, it seems to go faster than even the mind. Means wherever the mind goes, the self is already present. The senses also cannot comprehend this self, and it is all pervading. And in the presence of the self only, all the great devatas, they do their respective work. In the presence of the self, that Matarishva, that Hiranyagarbha, has allocated all duties to all the devatas. The self doesn't move, the self moves. So, with respect to the upadhis, the self seems to be moving, but by itself, it doesn't move, it doesn't change. For an ignorant person, the self is very far away, very, very difficult to comprehend. But for a wise person, the self is not only far, but is very close. Tadvantike. Tadantarasya sarvasya. The self is present in all, in every object, and it is also outside everything. That is the glorious nature of our own self. So, through Shravana, we hear about this self, and through Mananam, we have to recognize and understand this self. With the help of various techniques which are shown, which are given in our Shastra, we have to pinpoint and recognize this self by separating it from the three bodies, the Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharir, by transcending the five koshas, Annamay, Pranamay, Manomay, Vijnanamay, Anandamay koshas, by analyzing the three states of experience and understanding the self as the Sakshi, the Jagrat, the Swapna, Sushupti, one has to recognize the self and gain evidence in our own self. So, what is the experience of a person who has gained self knowledge? What is the sign that a person has gained self knowledge? See, many times a person may mistakenly feel that, oh, I have gained self knowledge. I understood everything. So I have, I have gained that self knowledge. So, as I had mentioned that day, that the first step is to understand our own self intellectually with the help of our buddhi. And thereafter, we have to gain abidance in that self. Means we have to remain as the self without identifying with the upadhis. We have to identify with our own self, be the self. So only when we attain that state, we become free, we, we become enlightened. So, what is the experience of an enlightened person? How does he see this world? How does he see what is his experience? That is being conveyed now in the following two verses. So, let us chant mantra number 6. यस्तु सर्वाणि भूतानि आत्मन्नेवानुपश्यति सर्वभूतेषु चात्मानं ततो न विजुगुप्सते यस्तु सर्वाणि भूतानि आत्मन्नेवानुपश्यति सर्वभूतेषु चात्मानं ततो न विजुगुप्सते. See, when we gain self-knowledge, the world which we see now will not disappear. The world will continue to exist. Our body will not disappear. Our antakarana will not disappear. Everything will remain as it is because all these are expressions of that Atma alone. They are not illusion. The world is not an illusion. If the world was illusion, then self-knowledge will just make it disappear, but it doesn't happen like that. See, when you see a snake on a rope, that snake is an illusion. So when you come to comprehend the rope, the snake disappears. The snake is not seen, but the world continues to be seen by an enlightened person. So what happens when we gain self-knowledge? Actually, the duality which is created, the duality is created due to our ignorance. Means when I don't know my own self, I have a wrong notion that I am different, you are different, this world is different, Ishvara is different. So that seeing or thinking that everything is different from each other, that is a sense of duality. And that duality is a product of ignorance. Then again, I think I am the body. I think I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, I am the knower, I am born, I will die. All these notions are also products of ignorance. So when ignorance gets destroyed through self-knowledge, the sense of duality also gets destroyed. Also the false notion that I am the body, I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, I am the knower, this notion also gets destroyed, gets negated. And also the notion that I am born, I will die. So ignorance destroys all misunderstanding. I mean, when ignorance get destroyed, all misunderstandings also get destroyed. But the world continues to exist. Our body continues to exist. Our mind continues to exist. Because the body, mind, world are not products of avidya, but they are expressions of Bhagwan Shakti called Maya or Prakriti. So Maya or Prakriti is not destroyed with self-knowledge, but one transcends this Maya and one doesn't see any duality. So that is being explained here in this verse very beautifully. The mantra says कि यस्तु सर्वाणि भूतानि आत्मनि एव anupashyati. That when a sincere seeker who has pursued the path of what you call Shravan and Manan and then has been practicing Nididhyasan, such a seeker, when he gains that abidance in his self, then he, through this equipment, he sees the world. The world is world continues to be seen. All beings are seen. So this enlightened person, when he sees this world, Sarvani Bhutani, he looks at all the various beings. The human beings are there, animals are there, birds are there, various beings are there, even the devtas are there. Then Vaishvanara is there, Hiranyagarbha is there. See, Hiranyagarbha itself is has got threefold forms as Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. So he sees, he knows all these different beings, and he recognizes them as present in his own self. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmani eva anupashyati. He sees everyone and everything in his own self. Sees means not with these physical eyes, but with his understanding, with his enlightenment, with his wisdom. He comes to recognize that all these beings are in my own self alone. Shankaracharya ji writes कि यह परिव्राट मुमुक्षुः, this mumukshu sadhak, sarvani bhutani, all beings means avyaktadini stavarantani, all beings starting from avyakta prakriti to a blade of grass, all beings, because the whole world is a being only. The entire world is Vaishvanara. All the beings which we see as separate are all one only. There is no difference. And those all these beings are my own self. So that which we have understood intellectually, the enlightened person actually experiences, comes to know vividly that all beings are my own self. So sarvani bhutani avyaktadini stavarantani atmani eva anupashyati. He sees them all in his own self. Anupashyati means after Shravan Manan Nididhyasan, he comes to recognize all of them in his own self. See, this we can understand when we, let us say, when we see a dream, we see this whole world in our dream. We see many people, we see animal, birds, plant, everyone in our dream. Okay? And all of them have different nature, different identity. We experience them in our dream. And a strange thing happens when we wake up. What happens to the world, dream world? The whole dream world enters into me only. I come to know when I wake up that all the different beings which I saw in my dream, they are all my own self only. They are not different from me. When I wake up, those beings will not continue to move around in that world. There is no separate beings from me. In the same way, while living in this world, while seeing this world, the enlightened person comes to know that all this entire creation is my own self. The vision changes. He attains a paradigm shift. See, for example, you have lots of gold ornaments. When you look at them, you see the different ornaments. There are various varieties of ornaments are there. But you, the seer, is separate from all those ornaments. Hmm? Therefore, you can see all of them as though separate. But just imagine if the gold has got the ability to see. How will gold see all the ornaments? The gold will not see anything other than itself. In all the ornament, the gold will see its own presence. In the same way, when we look at this world through our ahankar, we see division, we see duality, because this ahankar is a product of ignorance. So through ignorance, when I see duality. But when I come to recognize my own real self, all these dualities will vanish. I will come to know the entire creation as my own self existing in me. So this is the most fascinating and most mysterious experience of an enlightened person. Non-enlightened person we can try to imagine, we can try to visualize, but only an enlightened person knows what it is. Hmm. So Atmani eva anupashyati means Atma Vyatiriktani na pashyati ityartha. Other than the self, he doesn't see anything. Therefore, for an enlightened person, there is no world separate from him. World is there, but there is no world separate from him. For an ignorant person, a world is there separate from us. I am here and I see the world out there. But for an enlightened person, everything has become his self. So he continues to see as though through his eyes, but at the same time, he is also established in his self. So through his eyes, he sees variety, but through his experience, he knows everything is one. Hmm. The eyes continue to show him the same world which an ignorant person is also seeing. But through his enlightenment, through his wisdom, he sees his own self in all. सब कुछ मैं ही हूँ, मेरे सिवा और कुछ नहीं है. सर्वम खल्विदम ब्रह्मा, आत्मा वा इदगम सर्वम. Everything is my own self. And further, it says कि सर्वभूतेषु च तेषु एव आत्मानं पश्यति. He sees his own self in all beings. Two things, huh? One is he sees all beings and everything in his own self, and he sees his self in all in self, and self in all. When he sees all, he sees his own presence everywhere. But he also sees everything in his own self. See in Bhagavad Gita in the 10th chapter, Bhagwan, who is an enlightened Ishvara, Sarvajna, Sarvashaktiman, Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swabhavaha, that Ishvara, he tells Arjuna that I am all this. I am the light in the sun, I am the light in the moon, I am in the plants, I am in the trees, I am in the river, I am in the air, fire, water, I am among the devatas, I am in the shastras, I am everything. And then in the 11th chapter, Bhagavan shows to Arjuna that everything is in me. Everything exists in me. Whatever you want to see, you see in me because everything is in me. All the beings are in me. All the all the time is in me. Means the past, present, future, everything is in me. So sarva bhuteshu atmanam sarva bhutani cha atmani. That is the great what you call experience of an enlightened person. And this is called Sarvatma Bhav. Sarvatma Bhav. Only when one gains this experience, one can say that one has gained that knowledge. One is enlightened. The sign of enlightenment is Sarvatma Bhav. Not that you just close your eyes and you experience some spiritual experience, but when you open your eyes, you see this world as separate from you. That is not called enlightenment in Vedanta. Enlightenment is not some sort of spiritual experience which happens for a short time. Enlightenment is not just some kundalini rising in our spine. Enlightenment is not just seeing some vision, some devatas. Huh? Enlightenment is not some temporary phenomena which comes and which disappears. Enlightenment, the sign of enlightenment is to attain that Sarvatma Bhav, where the enlightened person looks at this world. The world doesn't disappear. The world is not mithya. He sees the world, he sees all beings, but knows all of them are in me, and also knows that I am in all. What do you mean by I am in all? Shankaracharya writes in his commentary, कि तेषाम् अपि भूतानां स्वात्मानं स्वम् आत्मानं आत्मत्वेन यथा अस्य देहस्य कार्यकरण संघातस्य आत्मा अहम्. Just as I look at this body and my mind, and I know I am the Atma in this body, in this mind. Means I am I. See, when you look at your own body, your own mind, you know that you exist in this body, in this mind. You exist in the body, no? Wherever the body goes, you go. So I am existing in my body. I also exist in my mind. But I am even subtler than my mind. I exist even when the body, the mind is left behind in deep sleep. So that I, who is the Atma of this body, of this mind, that I, hmm, which is Shankaracharya ji writes, कि तेषामपि भूतानां स्वम् आत्मानम् आत्मत्वेन यथा अस्य देहस्य कार्यकरणसङ्घातस्य आत्मा अहम् सर्व प्रत्यय साक्षी. I am also the sakshi, the witness of my body, of my mind. Witness means I see what all the activities happening without getting involved in it. I am the sphere of all the activities, really. The mind, the body walks and I see the body walking. The mind thinks and feels and I am seeing the mind thinking and feeling. The mind and intellect is not doing anything. It remains dormant in deep sleep and I know that they are dormant. So I am the great knower, the witness, the sakshi. So sarva pratyaya sakshi bhutaha. Chetayita, and I am the one who gives that power for the buddhi, the mind to see, to think. It is because of my power only the mind has got the ability to feel. It is because of my Shakti only the buddhi has got the ability to think and understand. See, for example, suppose there is a wall, and behind that wall, some object is kept. Let us say a pot is kept behind the wall. When I am looking, I don't see that pot because the wall is there in between. Hmm? Though the pot is there, because of the wall, I can't see the pot. Hmm? But then there is a mirror which is kept in such a place that when I look into the mirror, I can see the pot. When I look into the mirror, I can see the pot. So who is seeing the pot? I am seeing the pot, or mirror is seeing the pot? I cannot see the pot because the wall is there. Mirror cannot see because mirror is jada. But mirror as though gets the ability to see because of my presence. When I look at the mirror as though gets the ability to see. So with my blessings only, the seeing happens. If this is understood, then same thing happens with our senses, with our mind, because of my presence. I, the Satchidananda Atma, because of my presence, the senses have the ability to see, hear, taste, touch. The mind has got the ability to think, feel, understand. Hmm? So I am the Chetayita. I give them that power. Hmm? So I am the Sakshi, I am the Chetayita, and I am Kevalaha. I am one. Atma is one. Kevalaha. And Nirgunaha. Nirgun means without any gunas, without any qualities, beyond the sattva gun, rajogun, tamogun, nirgunaha, anena eva swarupena. So I am that Atma of this body, this mind, that same Sakshi, that same Chetayita Atma is the Atma of all beings. In that nature, I am the self of all. I am the self of all doesn't mean that the ego in me is the ego in all. It means the self in me is the self in all. The self which is there in me and the self in you is same, not similar. It is the same self. Just like the space in your home and the space in my home is same. Similarly, the self is same. So one who sees his own self in all beings, सर्वभूतेषु च आत्मानम् अनुपश्यति. अव्यक्तादीनां स्थावरान्तानाम् अहमेव आत्मा इति. That I am the Atma of all this, from the unmanifest to all that is manifest. Sarvabhuteshu cha atmanam nirvishesham yastu anupashyati. One sees that Atma. One comprehends the presence of that self in all. That is the enlightenment. That is called Sarvatma Bhav. See, one who talks about this world as mithya, you cannot have a sarvatma bhav in a mithya world. You can't say that it is a illusory, this world is illusory, and he sees himself in all this illusion. Therefore, to call this world as mithya is wrong. Hmm. So, world is there, our body is there, mind is there, but all of them are expression of the same self. So, when I recognize that self, I see everything as myself. Then, other than the self, nothing is there. Hmm. So, one who gains this direct experience, this is not just a theory, one who gains the aparoksha anubhuti of this, then what happens? How does that enlightened person lives in this world? How does the enlightened person interact with other beings? Bhagavan's mantra says, Tato na vijugupsate. Thereafter, this person will not have hatred, dis- dislike, or hatred towards anyone. Vijugupsate means grana. You will not have any grana, a dislike, disgust, or hatred towards any beings, because he sees the whole world and all beings as his own self, and we don't have dislike for ourselves. We love ourselves the most. So one who sees the whole world as his own self will have love for everything and everyone, will not have hatred, dislike for anyone. Just as in Bhagavad Gita also, the Lakshanas of a Jnani Bhakta was revealed there in the 12th chapter, कि अद्वेष्टा सर्वभूतानां मैत्र करुण एव च. Same thing is said here, कि अद्वेष्टा will not have any gruna. Tato na vijugupsate. Because whom do we hate? Whom do we dislike? Huh? Towards whom will we have that disgust? Here Shankaracharya writes कि प्राप्तस्य एव अनुवादो अयम सर्वा हि घृणात्मनः अन्यदृष्टं पश्यतो भवति. When we see something and someone other than me, and which I think is so bad and so ugly or so negative, then towards them I will have that grana, that dislike or hatred. But for an enlightened person, Atmanam eva atyanta vishuddham nirantaram pashyatah, one who sees the whole world as his own self. And what is that self? Atyanta vishuddham, supremely pure, free from all defects. When one sees everything as his own self, he will not have hatred towards anyone. That hatred, dislike will just dissolve. न घृणां निमित्तम् अर्थान्तरम् अस्ति इति प्राप्तमेव. There is nothing other than the self whom he can hate or dislike. Tato na vijugupsata iti. So this is the sarvatma bhav which an enlightened person attains. Same sarvatma bhav is pointed out in the next mantra also. So let us chant mantra number 7. यस्मिन् सर्वाणि भूतानि आत्मैवाभूत विजानतः तत्र को मोहः कः शोकः एकत्वमनुपश्यतः. यस्मिन् सर्वाणि भूतानि आत्मैवाभूत विजानतः तत्र को मोहः कः शोकः एकत्वमनुपश्यतः यस्मिन् यस्मिन् means यस्मिन् काले यथोक्तात्मनि वा तानि एव. At the time when a person gains this enlightenment, at that time what happens? Sarvani bhutani atma eva abhut. All beings becomes his own self. See, all beings are myself only, but because of ignorance, I see that difference. But when I gain that enlightenment, what will happen? All beings will actually be experienced as my own self. Yastu sarvani bhutani atma eva abhut vijanatah. Through vijnana, through knowledge, means through direct experience. See, in Vedanta, knowledge is culminates in experience. Without experience, knowledge is just intellectual appreciation. Knowledge should culminate in experience. That experience is also called avagati. So Vedanta says you should have that jidnyasa to gain knowledge till you gain avagati. Avagati paryantam jnanam. So when one gains this avagati, this experience, what happens? He sees everything has become his own self. सब कुछ मैं ही हो गया हूँ. See, again, to give that example of our dream, though we see so much difference in our dream, sometimes we are giving a party and our enemy comes there and we have so much of dislike कि ये कहाँ से आ गया यहाँ पर. So you are so irritated in your dream that you just don't want this person there. You just dislike that person. Then at that moment you wake up and you find yourself on your bed. And what happens to all those people, your friend as well as that enemy? They just dissolve into you. Means they don't have a separate existence from you. They are all your own self. But this happens when we wake up. While dreaming, we continue to see duality. In the same way, while in ignorance, we continue to see duality. But when a person gains this knowledge, he as though wakes up from this world of duality and sees everything as his own self. यस्मिन् सर्वाणि भूतानि आत्मा एव अभूत विजानतः यस्मिन् काले यथोक्तात्मनि वा. Or in that, when he gains that enlightenment, all these beings become his own self. Paramartha Atma Darshanat Atma eva abhut. Atma eva samvrittah Paramartha vastu. Everything is his own self. Vijanatah. So at that time, or in that Atma which he has recognized, when a person gains that recognition of his own self, then tatra ko mohaha, then where will remain delusion? There will remain no delusion, there will remain no confusion. All confusion arises due to what you call ignorance of our own self. But once we gain that enlightenment, tatra ko mohaha, where is there any confusion? And kas shokaha, there will not be any shoka also. Where is shoka, grief? So where will remain the moha or grief once we gain this enlightenment? Why? Because moha and shoka is there only in the field of duality. शोकश्च मोहश्च कामकर्म बीजम अजानतः bhavati. When we don't understand the very source of this shoka moha, which is born from kama, krodha, and the root cause of all this is ignorance of our own self. So when that ignorance has gone, then there is no shoka, there is no moha. Ekatvam anupashyatah, one who sees ekatva everywhere, oneness, कि सब कुछ मैं हूँ, मुझसे भिन्न और कुछ नहीं है. मया ततमिदम सर्वम. Just as Ishvara, he says in, Bhagwan says in the 7th chapter, कि मया ततमिदम सर्वम जगद अव्यक्त मूर्तिना. नहीं, मत्तः परतरम नान्यत् किंचिद अस्ति धनंजय. मयि सर्वमिदं प्रोतम सूत्रे मणिगणा इव. Bhagwan says, other than me, nothing is there. No one is there, greater or smaller. I only exist in this whole world. I pervade everything like sutra, like a thread in a garland. I am present in all. So tatra ko mohakash shokah ekatvam anupashyatah. So in this way, the the Upanishad reveals the nature of that Atma and also reveals the characteristic of a person who has gained that Atma Jnana and has gained that enlightenment. He gains that Sarvatma Bhav. Okay. Now in the next mantra, the the Rishi reveals the nature of Atma as it is, not with respect to the Upadhis, but as it is, that we will see in our next class. Our next class will be on Monday. Okay. So till then, you take care. Be happy, safe, peaceful, healthy. Do your work, do your sadhana. Keep yourself engaged in some creative activities. And we shall meet again on Monday. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Jaya Jaya Ram. Jaya Jaya Ram. Bole Siya Ramachandra Bhagwan ki Jai. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ